How can we solve a problem if we don't even know it exists?
The issue of soil degradation is a reality that we are living in every single day. The world under our feet is under constant threat. The very foundation of life on Earth is dying, and it's our fault. And what we have caused, we must fix.
Our food security is rooted in our soil. Soil determines everything about our diet, the food we can eat, the type, and the amount. So when farming goes wrong, what's at stake? During the 1930s, dust storms swept across the Midwest. When the windstorms occurred, large amounts of topsoil were swept into the air, causing vast dust storms. The effect of this was drastic. Many people starved and died, or died of dust pneumonia. Thousands of farmers lost their livelihoods. How would you feel if I told you that this crisis could have been averted, that it was completely preventable? The reality of this issue was that it was a soil issue. The amalgamation of poor farming techniques, windy conditions, and drought resulted in removing large areas of prairie land that anchored the soil. This is grave because prairie land is extremely rich and fertile. The destruction of this land was catastrophic.
As a result of this crisis in 1935, the U.S. Erosion Act came into force to encourage people to soil conversion practice. Although our understanding of soils and soil conservation have improved since the Dust Bowl, soil loss and degradation continues to be a problem around the world, and will be as long as we don't do anything. The Dust Bowl is just one of the examples of the soil crisis. In China, more than 40% of their soils is degrading from overuse, erosion, and urbanization. In the US, 7.6 tons of soil is eroded per acre. But this degradation is occurring worldwide.
But there are ways to fix this. The US has already spent approximately $22 billion on soil conservation efforts between 1985 and 1999. But what can we do? Firsthand, what can we do to conserve our soils and improve our farming practices? How do we literally give life back to the soil? Here are a few suggestions.
Terracing is predominantly used in Southeast Asia and China for rice and wheat farming, which are essential parts of our diets. It's a method that's been used for centuries and is effective because it reduces the amount and velocity of water that hits soil, which greatly reduces soil erosion. Terracing thus permits more intensive cropping techniques, and that would otherwise be possible. If we can apply these techniques to other landscapes around the world, we could greatly reduce soil erosion.
One extremely effective technique, and one that has seen to make notable changes, is cropping patterns. A case study that is quite intriguing is Cuba's shift from an industrial monoculture to an incredibly successful polyculture, using cropping patterns to maintain the richness of the soil and keep the nutrients. This turnaround from a monoculture to a polyculture was so successful that Cuba rebounded to show the best food production performance in Latin America and the Caribbean from 1996 to 2005.
Other cultivation techniques might include afforestation. These large canopies of trees help to prevent soil erosion by reducing the impact of water onto the soil. But this is also an easy solution for climate change.
We can use cover crops. Think of cover crops as a living mulch. These are plants which are used primarily to slow erosion, improve soil health, and so much more. Aaron Lehman is a farmer from Iowa, and when he started utilizing cover crops, he immediately saw a change in his soil and the benefits of cover crops, which made his land so much more usable.
A plow is a farm tool that is used for loosening the soil before planting. Contour plowing is the plowing along the contours of the land in order to minimize soil erosion. This more sustainable practice is done throughout Grenada to mitigate the negative consequences of natural disasters on soil quality and composition. It is performed by following the natural contours when tilling the soil, planting, and cultivating. Through these case studies, we can see that making changes to our behavior and treatment of farmland can have many positive outcomes. This is how to save our soil. But how do we save our planet? The best way to take care of our soil is to simply be aware of our actions that further contribute to its degradation.
Farming and primary food production can seem out of sight and out of mind for a lot of it. So I implore all of you to consider the amount of food waste you create. We are at the very end of the long chain of supply and demand.
Any changes we make will be mirrored in primary food production. Adding on to this, trying our best to eat a diverse diet is intrinsic, as it will create a demand for more varied farming practices. Buy organic. Buying organic foods will encourage better farming practices and further protect our natural environments.
Other acts we can do to save our planet is composting or buying local grown produce. We have the power to fix this, so why not take this first step? But first, you need to hear about this issue.